Hello, and thank you for joining us on this Keywall webinar. This follows on from the recent webinars that have looked at some of the benefits from both a business and a financial perspective of moving from a paper-based trading system to an electronic trading system, as well as looking at Keywall's Trade Quick Start solution in more detail. My name is Chris Winstanley, and I'll be taking you through today's session. I've been at Keywall for a number of years now, and I'm currently an account manager working with the sales team. The purpose of this session is to investigate the benefits of an integrated solution and to discuss how to achieve this across your entire supplier community. Wherever you're starting from, whether you currently have no supplier integration in place or integration has been an ongoing project that has become difficult to progress further, achieving full 100% supplier enablement is the holy grail for all businesses running an order management process with a supplier community. Today I'm going to cover why achieving as wide or deep an integration as possible is important, look at some of the typical obstacles and difficulties in achieving this, and then look at how Keywall can help address these through the services we offer, as well as the return on investment potential available by implementing a solution such as this. Just before we go into the main slides, I just wanted to give you a couple of quick notes on Keywall as a whole. I'm sure most of you are aware of Keywall's longevity in the market, having been established for over 40 years now, and the way the company has developed and grown over the last few years. But I think it's always useful to know that you're talking to a well-established company with proven domain knowledge and experience in supply chain across the globe. Keywall has a whole range of supply chain solutions, but today we're focusing on order management and integration, where Keywall is recognized as a market leader. So, what do we mean by 100% supplier enablement? Effectively, it means exactly what we're saying, that all suppliers, regardless of size, number of transactions, or technical capabilities, trade with you electronically in a way that allows orders, invoices, and other transactions such as credit notes or advanced shipping notes to be integrated into your back office applications, whether this be SAP, Oracle, Dynamics, Sage, etc., etc. The benefits financially are well publicized and have been covered in previous webinars. However, it's generally recognized that, on average, a paper invoice costs up to £41, whereas an electronic equivalent is around £12. And this is just for processing the invoices. It doesn't take into account the whole process around orders with postage costs for those, checking and chasing suppliers to ensure that they've received orders, or dealing with the payment queries around invoices and all that's attached to that. So those are clear benefits. In addition, there are other benefits to having all suppliers coming in via one mechanism. Accessing management information, gaining visibility of data, the ability to track and trace data, identify trends, and resolve issues, all becomes an easier process as data is being collected from one source rather than multiple sources. Data is also processed more quickly and efficiently, meaning the business can run a more just-in-time model. And internal time and effort is dedicated to improving internal processes rather than error fixing and firefighting. And in today's climate, as we all know, saving on paper and storage isn't only a financial consideration, but environmental as well. However, whether you have no integration or indeed EDI in place at the moment, or as we said earlier, have got some way down the line with this, you'll be aware of these benefits, but have probably come across a number of issues or obstacles that have prevented you either taking it further or considering it at all in the first place. The biggest problem you're likely to face is that all your suppliers are different. That's why you have them. Their size, transaction volumes, product ranges, all determine how they fit in with your business and why they're selected as suppliers to you in the first place. Just like you, they'll be at different stages in their own development of electronic trading. However, whilst different, suppliers can roughly be accommodated within three main groups. The first group are suppliers with well-established EDI processes. Are likely to be large suppliers with large data volumes, good experience of electronic trading, able to understand and work quickly with what we might call traditional EDI standards. In the second group, you'll find suppliers that do a fair bit of volume, but perhaps haven't invested in this traditional EDI system, but have good levels of IT understanding, and maybe started to talk about trading electronically, but buy things such as FTP or AS2 and are talking about file formats such as CSV or XML. In the third group, you find suppliers that are low volume or seasonal, that perhaps have lower order values and lesser technical capabilities. This means they haven't any means today of trading electronically and possibly no desire to or incentive to because of the financial implications of doing so. Whoever you are, you're likely to have suppliers in each of these categories. And where you have put a system into place, it is most likely to cover the suppliers in Group 1 and maybe some in Group 2. Where it will have come to a halt or you will have encountered most difficulty is trying to cover those suppliers in Group 3 and perhaps towards the lower end of Group 2. So, what do you do to resolve this problem? You could look to accommodate all the suppliers and disparate formats yourself, working out the various methods of connectivity, file formats and supply capabilities, and managing each one yourself on a day-to-day basis. So, here you are in the middle. You have connections in place to most of your suppliers. You only have to manage 1 or 2, perhaps 3 or 4, and emails for dealing with most of your suppliers. And now you can transact orders and invoices with no problem at all, can't you? Ultimately, this is expensive, hard to manage, and subject to continual change as suppliers come and go and require different options for connectivity. You could end up managing an EDI system, 3 or 4 different data formats, 10 or 20 FTP connections, and still posting or emailing orders and receiving invoices from the less technically able suppliers. With a system like this, it's very difficult to ever see a return on investment. Once it's in place, it requires continual management, and you have ongoing problems with knowledge retention and the ability to fix errors and handle day-to-day problems. The alternative is to go the other way and choose one particular format and one particular connection and make it a mandatory requirement. Make all suppliers use this one format for trading, which can be more effective, especially if you're in a position to dictate to suppliers. However, larger suppliers may have other established ways of doing business, so you set something up for them. Well, you could use that for everyone, couldn't you? Very quickly you discover the effort and management cost of getting all suppliers to adhere and work with one standard makes it impractical and can also be costly for suppliers, which can ultimately mean a higher cost in products to you. It also means that there's less take-up or no take-up from smaller, less able suppliers from a technical perspective. And this is without mentioning the time it would take to actually roll something like this out across your supplier community. So, what you really need, and what Keywall really means when we talk about 100% supplier enablement, is a solution which lets you, the customer, have a single window on the world. That's one single way of connecting and a single file format per transaction to worry about. Preferably, this will be whatever is native to your system. For example, if you use SAP, then you would want to send and receive SAP iDocs. However, you still need to provide a range of options for suppliers which closely match their requirements and their technical capabilities, removing the traditional barriers for them and making it an easy, low or no-cost option to adopt. You want to worry about your internal requirements, whilst we worry about your suppliers. Whatever they need or want, whether it be EDI, CSV, web access, or any of the other myriad of technical terms you hear in terms of connectivity or data formats, or even simply an email or a fax. We provide that functionality to them, whilst everything looks identical from your end, regardless of what's used. In fact, the solution could look something like this. We'll break this diagram into smaller sections in a moment, but at this point it's important to highlight that this solution can provide interaction with your suppliers regardless of your current technical position or capabilities. If you already output EDI format data or want to work with your native back office formats or are just starting out, we can advise you on the best approach. We can adapt and work together with you to either replace existing functionality or work alongside it. The aim here is to help you provide as many ways to your suppliers to enable them to access electronic trading with you whilst keeping the single window on the world for you. We talked about one window on the world, and this is it. Your connection is to Keyworld's hosted solution. What flows through this connection is your data in your required format. You send orders from your back office system, which are then converted by us into the formats required by suppliers. Equally, data sent by suppliers in various different formats is converted into the single format you require and sent back to you. Keyworld's hosted solution is fully managed and available on a 24/7 basis. As with all solutions of this type, it comes with full disaster recovery and all the failover options you would expect. Using Keyworld's hosted solution comes with a number of benefits as represented by the icons shown in the diagram. You have a single contract and a single point of support, regardless of the number of connections or data formats used, as do your suppliers. Data is archived and can be accessed for track and trace by the Keyworld support team and is available for resending to suppliers if required. Alongside that, within the hosted solution, we have a number of ways of transforming and manipulating the data. You only have to worry about the data that's in your format, but we can manage and transform this into many disparate formats. We can validate the data, check that mandatory data is available and in the correct fields. We can check it against certain published standards. We also have a rules engine, which can alert to whether data is available on time, on the right day, in the right shape, and the right size. We also have full management information and visibility of data as it goes through the system. This is the central control unit from where all the data is routed or distributed to your suppliers. Let's take a look at each of the supplier groups in turn that we identified earlier. The first group of suppliers are those who have already embraced EDI. They may well already use it for other customers and perhaps have approached you asking if they can trade via EDI. These guys will traditionally have high volumes of data and have good understanding of EDI standards. In this instance, Keyworld will help define an EDI format, one in common usage and familiar to EDI users, work out any connectivity which is needed, whether via a value-added network or any other mechanism such as AS2. We'll also help provide the guidelines and do testing with suppliers. So, ultimately, what the supplier sees is an EDI order in a format that's recognizable to them, and they can send an EDI invoice similar to one they send to other customers. This fits in with their requirements and their business processes, making it easy for them to adopt. But with Keyworld in the middle, there's no requirement for you as the customer to have any EDI management skills or understanding of the complex standards. You simply see and receive and send the data that you want to in your format. In the second group, you have suppliers who want to send and receive electronic data, but have no desire or requirement to invest in what we might call a traditional EDI system. The best formats for this group will probably be XML or CSV, something which can be easily manipulated by them. The key here is to not try and fit each supplier's requirements. Although this would be technically possible, you'd quickly end up in a situation similar to that we showed in the earlier diagram, with a number of different formats and connections and all sorts of things to manage and maintain, and would quickly lose any return on investment there. Most of our customers who adopt this approach identify one or maybe two non-EDI formats and make these available as an option to the suppliers. As with those suppliers in the first group, we would provide a full user guide and message specifications so they understand how to use and work with these standards. Connectivity to these suppliers is more likely to be FTP based. However, as with the connection to you into Keyworld at the top of the diagram, we have a multiple range of options, and we can work with you and them to determine which is the best approach. Once again, the key here is that your formats haven't changed. You're still sending and receiving exactly the same data in the same format by the same mechanism in which you were sending it to the guys in the first group. But now, you don't only have those suppliers, We've also picked up the second group of suppliers as well. And finally, but no less importantly, we have suppliers with no current capability for electronic trading, and no way, perhaps, of justifying investing in either an EDI system or their own integration. Or perhaps they don't do the volume of data with you as a customer to justify it going through their EDI system. But you still want it through yours. You want to achieve full supplier integration. For this group, we have Keywell Trade Quick Start. We have presented this in previous webinars, and if you're interested in the look and feel of this service and solution, there'll soon be a demo available on the website. But effectively, this is a web portal which allows suppliers to log on and view and print orders and spin these into invoices. It allows them as a supplier to receive and send data electronically with no specialized equipment or knowledge, just access to the internet. It's simple and straightforward to use, and ultimately means that you have an option for any and all suppliers. At your end of the chain, you are still sending out data in the native back office format and receiving it as such. Within Keywell's hosted solution, the data is converted into a format which is then presented to the web form. To all intents and purposes, your system doesn't know what method is used to connect to which supplier. They are all simply integrated. You have one window on the world. So, we've looked at the benefits and at the solution itself. We can recognize that full supplier enablement is something we want to achieve. But ultimately, as with everything, it all comes down to cost. There are recognized savings when compared against paper trading, but you need to see a clear return on investment for this to be a truly workable solution. With the solution that we've outlined here, you'll generally see return on investment within the first year. However, in order to help you determine how much this will be and when it will be achieved, Keywell will work through it with you. This involves looking at the number of orders sent and invoices received with the associated costs. Remember, it's costing you £41 for a paper invoice versus the £12 for an electronic one. Plus, we also look at the less obvious aspects, like the time spent chasing suppliers to ensure orders have been received and are going to be actioned. It's also important to note that you don't need a full implementation and every supplier on board before you start to see a return on investment. The benefits and savings start as soon as you get your first group of suppliers on board. Once you know a return on investment can be achieved, the key to making this happen is getting the suppliers on board. We identified earlier that convincing your suppliers to use any given solution can be the hardest part of the whole approach, and will ultimately determine whether the entire project is successful. We can often bring your suppliers, or key groups of suppliers, on board within a matter of weeks. Obviously, this depends somewhat on the overall requirements, but in our experience, is actually achievable. The best way to approach this is shown in the small graphic on the slide. We will work with you to profile your suppliers, identify the different options you want to offer them, and then work with each group in a specific way. To do this, we use our Community Development Team, or CDT. This is a dedicated internal team who will contact each and all suppliers, explain the benefits and the options available, and help them determine which is best for them. The whole project is delivered and managed by our professional services team, following an established and well-proven methodology. In summary, is this the right solution for you? Well, the answer to that is yes, if you're looking to implement a solution that gives you and your suppliers full electronic trading capability and integrates into your back office applications in the most straightforward way, requiring only one window on the world from you, whilst giving your suppliers a number of options to bring down those traditional barriers. The answer is yes, if you're looking for a solution that has a clear and achievable return on investment model alongside simple pricing, which is based on the number of suppliers you have and the data volumes transacted. The answer is yes, if you're looking to achieve those financial and operational benefits that we've touched on throughout this presentation. If you feel this could be the solution for you, we will be delighted to talk to you about it further. At the outset of this presentation, we mentioned Keywell's longevity in the market and expertise in order management solutions. Here are just a few of Keywell's customers who over the years have trusted us to deliver solutions similar to the ones that we've talked about in this presentation. So, we've reached the end of our presentation. I'd just like to thank you all for your time and patience. And if you'd be interested in getting any more information about any aspect of Keywall, you can find those via our website or the various contact details that you see on screen there, including product brochures and customer case studies, etc. And just on the right-hand side of the slide there, we mentioned at the outset that we can provide a full range of supply chain solutions. Just a few of them mentioned there, and if you'd like to talk to us about any of those or find out a bit more, then obviously please get in touch. Thank you very much.